Welcome back. As we promised, we are going to celebrate together the National Environment Day of Egypt falling on the 27th of January. Why on the 27th of January? This is something which we are going to discover with our dear guest via phone, Dr. Magdy Allam, advisor to the World Climate Program and the Environment Facility. Thank you very much for being with us, Dr. Allam, and a very good morning first. Hello? It seems that we do have some technical difficulties, but we are going to try to have Dr. Allam once again via phone. The Ministry of Environment organizes on Sunday, on the 27th of January, a celebration marking the National Environment Day under the slogan of Egypt on its path towards green, in the presence, of course, of Minister of Environment, Her Excellency Dr. Yasmin Fouad. And on this occasion, Fouad tackle the ministry's efforts to achieve environmental sustainability in coordination with its development partners in all governmental and non-governmental sectors. It seems that we got now via phone Dr. Magdy Allam. Dr. Magdy, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Sir, as I said in my intro, that we do celebrate our National Environment Day on the 27th of January. Before going into details, why the 27th of January?
It's actually the date that Egypt is declaring for the first time the establishment of Ministry for Environment. And before this, it's actually for the first time that we established the system of the bylaws of the environmental affairs the first time, and actually declaring also all the measurements of the limits of the pollutants, not to give this, but really to the institutions or companies to pollute the surrounding environment, either on the Nile River or the air or in the soil itself. So it was actually a very point that have a new opening door for the Egyptian experts to establish some of the modules that we can avoid any of the pollutants, either the pollutants of the engines of cars or any kinds of machineries or trains or other transport system, either or the factories that being done for on all the time. And nowadays there is update renewable system for all of those institutions, and we cannot see, for example, in the area on the Nile River, in the south, Cairo, those kinds of pollutants because of the dust that's coming out of the trending system, so also the price of stones, so that producing a lot of the dust. Nowadays we have and here don't blame it not to visit but everyone. And you are classifying the pollutants under to A1 or B1 or C1. Accordingly, the pollution, if it is exceeding the limits that declared by the Ministry of Environment, it will go into the now judge, and the judge can declare some of the punishment for those people who are polluting the air or water or soil. And actually, the celebration that we are for the first time also having for the second year that continuing supporting the climate change agreement, which is actually being done by Egypt in 27 code, and then we are actually distributed and disseminated the experience of Egypt in the 27 agreement to go to Emirates for the 28th climate change resilience and adaptation, which is actually a turning point actually for the developing countries, because there is a conflict between the industrial countries that are polluting a lot of pollutants up to 500 years and polluting the air, the atmosphere, and without any punishment, without any limits. And even for Africa, for example, all of our emissions are actually not exceeding 4% for the total continent of Africa. And in the same time, the deterioration and destruction of the ecosystems of this continent, Africa, is being due the industrial era that using a lot of fossil fuel, that's producing a lot of emissions either for the carbon dioxide or the sulfur dioxide or the ammonia dioxide or the urea or other the pollutants also. In addition to the greenhouse gases effects that increasing also.
Yes, sir, and in fact, it's not a luxury to cooperate together for maintaining our environment and to fight climate change. But if you permit me, I'd like to return back to our National Environment Day, as there are a lot of activities to take place or to continue taking place for the coming week as we are celebrating this occasion. As the Minister of Environment signed an agreement to protect our natural reserves, particularly with the private sector. How do you see the role of the private sector in this domain and the efforts exerted by the state to encourage the private sector to invest in the field of maintaining our environment?
It's actually there is a cooperation with the private sector also to do some of the activities, especially in the tourism, because we have up to 6 tourism sites, which is actually protected areas declared internationally, and it's actually a big list of the biodiversity protection for those rare kinds of botanies or rare kinds also of vegetations or rare kinds also birds and other creatures that being actually coming through Egypt. Nowadays, every year we have 5 pathways of the birds coming from the north of the southern, of the northern of the globe, and coming all the way from Scandinavian countries and from Holland and from all those cold countries, coming through 5 pathways. The 5 pathways, it's lucky, and actually may Allah give it as a gift for Egypt, that the 5 million bird migration pathway through Egyptian peninsula and going to tell the South Africa returning again in the season of the summer to the North Pole, according to the system of the 2 shifts. In the winter and in the summer, we have 2 main trips, and we have 5 pathways in Egypt that the migration of birds comes through those 5 pathways, and this is why the Minister of Environment, Dr. Yasmin Fouad, yesterday celebrated together with the anniversary of this event that will be a green era and a green economy also being implemented by pilot companies of private sector.
And to spread the awareness with such events, sir, I think it's also very important to let the people know that we do have treasures. I mean, for example, as you mentioned, the immigration of birds, this is only an example. This is something which is not going to change, but it can change with the climate change issue. And we are going to lose a lot with all those amateurs who come here in specific for this occasion, and they can practice or enjoy their time only in Egypt. How do you see this, sir? How do you see the importance of spreading awareness about such issues?
It's actually a very crucial and very critical issue, and it's coming also that there are many meetings, and we have also signatories for the agreement of anti-desertification and the agreement of biodiversity and the agreement of the climate change. And those main 3 agreements being done by the Minister of Environment in Egypt with the other customers, either on the industrial scale or in the eastern or in the western one. So we are now in the way to support our ecological system, not to have degradation, not to have consumption of, we are protecting those kinds of creatures or vegetations or other kinds of some of the rare genes that cannot be easily to see in other parts. We have it in Egypt, especially in Sharm el-Sheikh and the peninsula, also through the Red Sea. We have the coral reef, which is actually a very thin, limited lines all over the earth, And we, in Egypt actually, Florida for example, have the similar elements of rare creatures being grown on this era. And because of this, the tourism, especially to visit our peninsula in Sinai, for example, because they cannot see it in other areas, because it is only two areas all over the world that we see those kinds of creatures. The coral reefs, for example, being threatened nowadays because of the pollutants of the practices of the petrol all over the earth. There is now a very strong bylaws to stop any of the oil spills in the Red Sea or in our Suez Canal.
We were famous, sir, even for organizing underwater photography competitions here in Egypt, because we do have treasures when it comes to the underwater life we have in the Red Sea. If you permit me, sir, I'd like to return to the slogan under which we are celebrating our National Environment Day, Egypt on its path towards green. Now we spoke about green economy, we spoke about even blue economy, and it's a very large scale, from recycling to the fruitful cooperation, or there should be fruitful cooperation between the industrial sector and the Ministry of Environment in general. How do you see this scale, or the efforts exerted by the state to maintain this scale?
Actually, a very pilot decision that we have such kinds of development of the green economy. The green economy is the solution that always is actually declaring this is the only way to save our ecosystems in the air, in the water, and the air. And nowadays, Egypt, for example, have agreement with more than 4 big companies in the Suez Canal area that to have some of the pilot activities of the what's called green economy, and we actually have at least three agreements already done by the Suez Canal and some of the famous companies of the world to use it as a production of the green economy one. And in addition to the new and renewable energy, nowadays Egypt, for example, having the biggest solar system all over the world in Aswan, and actually there is up to 2,500 units of PV units, the solar PV units, which is actually replacing the traditional emissions of some pollutants of the machineries used to irrigation system. And nowadays the concept of the new and the renewable energy is now all activities and the development either in the urban system, and we are now actually have the green building code that protecting the biodiversity and reducing the pollution depending on the solar PV units, not on the fossil fuels. And this actual urbanization is what's called, we have 27 sites and 27 cities declared by the communities of the Ministry of Housing, is actually a pilot of how Egypt is applying the green building code into new sites.
And since you have mentioned solar energy, sir, I cannot skip asking about green hydrogen. As it was declared more than once that green hydrogen is the future of fuel worldwide. And Egypt is on the right track as we started our path to be, or at least to try to be in the very near future as a hub for green hydrogen. How do you see this as one of the priorities we have regarding green economy or regarding green fuel?
There is actually 3 agreements being done by mega corporates over the world with the Suez Canal Authority to apply the green hydrogen, and there is a separation between actually the H2O to have the hydrogen separate away from the oxygen, and the hydrogen being used as alternative of the fossil fuel to have actually another clean energy of new and renewable energy being done by the green economy. The green economy nowadays has some codes and also being spreading all over the either agriculture sector or the housing sector. Actually, the other sectors related to the pollution, like the tourism. The tourism, one of the main sources of the Egyptian economy, and depending mainly on the protected areas being done by the Egyptian government as a module of this is actually, for example, the valley of the Karun whale. Nowadays, there is a connection being done between the Karun Lake and also Al Hammam coast.
Yep.
To have actually a new system of recycling of the water, not to destroy it, but actually
and not to waste more water. And it's a long journey, but we started already with the very important steps. Well, Dr. Magdy Allam, advisor to the World Climate Program and the Environment Facility, thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.